Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a balmy evening here in New York City. The humidity is high, the tensions are high, and the roach count is high going into the third game of this series between Suppy and Revival.
That's right, we've seen a lot of Roach Hydra play. Suppy probably trying to collect himself and think, you know, I took that third base so much faster than last game. How come it didn't work out for me? Well, you know, maybe you gotta build some drones there as well. Anyways, are the players ready for our third map?
Looks like they very well might be.
It's going to be on Akalon Waste. Of course, this is a map where it's a little bit easier to defend that third base. With Zergs, though, you typically don't take the third that you see Terrans or Protoss taking. You take the one that's in a straight line because it takes a little while to kill those rocks that access the other third base.
That it does. Let's see what happens here. Akalon Waste has been pretty entertaining, actually. We've seen some of the best games in the tournament on this particular map, and hopefully it continues to be so. Let's see how it plays out in a Zerg versus Zerg between these two players. To the northwest position in the Red Trunks, currently tied one apiece in this best of three series, looking to go through to fight against Liquid Hero. It is Evil Genius's Suppy versus his opponent. To the southeast position, showed a good game there. Showed a lot of patience, way more patience than in the first game. Didn't try anything impetuous, went all the way up to 4 base and then just rolled his opponent over. Of course, from the same team, Evil Geniuses in the blue, it is Revival.
Revival's really shown this build last 2 maps, and it does twice in a row. There's often a high chance he'll do it 3 times. It means he has great confidence in this Roach style of play. Is Suppy going to change things up yet again? We saw a little bit of a change up. He didn't go for that mass speeding opening that he did in the first game. Tech to layer faster, didn't get the armor upgrade. And, you know, it didn't work out quite as well. I wasn't able to get those surrounds, wasn't able to really hold those great concaves. Although I think, like you said, it was a lot of that. The different result was based on Revival not being quite as aggressive with his roaches.
Well, I mean, not going out on the map is always a good way to deal with speedlings, right? It's like, oh, you have map control? Okay, well, I'm just not going to leave. I'm just going to wait for my upgrades to come in, and then I'm going to set so many roaches that your speedlings don't really matter. Although, to be fair to Suppy, he didn't overcommit to speedlings to the point where they were just sitting around on the map just messing about and not really having any ideas as to what they were going to do next. So I'm interested to see if this game ends up being any different. We do see Suppy not taking a gas, so already it is, but we do see Revival taking a gas. So will we see a mirror build just simply the other way around? We'll find out shortly.
This is pretty interesting. Suppy will probably start his gas fairly soon. He's been doing the same build pretty much every game where, you know, the standard pool, the 14 pool, 16 hatch. Then you get the extractor to get speedings. Revival, like you said, changing it up quite a bit. In the last couple games, until he had both his middle lines saturated, he didn't get a single gas, and now he got one before the expansion. So he's going to be a little bit behind Suppy as far as the larva count and the drone count goes, but he's going to have Zergian speed just a little bit faster.
Very true. Really interesting, whenever I see a pro player lose with a build, then win with the same build, and then change to a different build, I always scratch my head like, really? I mean, maybe you try it 3 times in a row, but at the end of the day, that's why they're pro players, because they're smart, and they are able to play a few mind games with their opponent and switch things up when they feel like it's necessary to do so. Revival's going to build a fairly large amount of lings right off the bat here. He's going to get 8 out on the map, a nice little bit of control here.
And these are Zergians I think he's going to hide. If you build 8 Zergians like this and you show them to your opponent, they're going to defend, and you're going to be saying, "Oh, why didn't I have why didn't I have a few more drones?" But if you stockpile them, then surprise your opponent with fast Zergian speed, and all of a sudden 30 Zergians, you can instantly win the game. This is a very difficult build to read. I think Revival's doing this because in the last several games, Suppy wasn't using any early Zergians of his own to scout out his opponent.
No,
he would wait. Yeah, he would wait until almost his 3rd hatch was started before. Oh, but this game he's changing it up.
That's a nice play there from Suppy. He will get 1 Zergling into the base here, and these lings, Revival's going to move them back. Even if he does, though, is he going to see them? He absolutely sees them. Nice try from Revival to try and hide that, but now the jig is up. Immediately a Baneling nest goes down for Suppy.
As well as a spawn crawl. Of course, Suppy will not have speed for his Zergians. Revival speed is going to finish in time for this attack, but if Suppy can defend well, he's going to be a little ahead. He does have 9 more drones than his opponent, evacuating all the drones to his main. Queen's on the ramp. This is exactly how you want to defend this type of play.
And Suppy's suddenly saying, oh, did those Lings want to get in? Nope, that's not going to happen. The Queens are going to hold this line. Oh, man, there's actually Lings trapped behind the Queens. Of course, he can't move, but he's got more Banelings behind the Queens. Super smart play here from Suppy. But will the Queens be able to hold out long enough? I don't think there's a transfuse available here. One Queen goes down. The Banelings are trying their best to morph in, and they will complete, but there's a couple of Lings that are blocking that off. Already, that's one Baneling down. The attempt to kill this hatchery is not going to succeed with those two Banelings there, I don't feel. Another detonation comes off here. Suppy takes some damage, but he pushes that back for the time being.
That's right, and with Revival having no baiting nest of his own, it's going to be very difficult to really put any counter pressure on Suppy. In fact, Revival's afraid of a baiting speeding counterattack, and he's making his Spine Core back home, which is a smart move.
Two of them, actually, yeah. And this is a nice little position for Suppy to be in. He can now start to mine at his natural again with that drone advantage. He lost the Queen, which is unfortunate. Actually, it looks like he lost both of his Queens, which is super unfortunate. But there's a couple of Banelings cancelled as Revival tries to just delay this push as long as he possibly can.
A lot of baitings from Suppy. Of course, Revival is going to have to micro his heart out against him. With two Queens and a Spine Cores, he should be okay, but he really can't afford to lose any drones.
Ooh, nice move there by Revival. He's going to pick off one of those Banelings before they actually connect. Another one detonates here as well. These Banelings have not been that cost-effective as of yet. Detonates them against a Spine Crawler as well. And a Transfuse comes in from Revival. Great move here. He's holding on to this natural quite nicely. And here's the problem. Because those two Queens died, the reinforcements were not available because there was no lava available to build them. So you didn't get the second wave coming in there from Suppy.
Suppy's not giving this up. He's building more and more speedings, morphing some banelings, only a few drones being added on, and right now, the drone count is about dead even for both players. Suppy with a little bit of a tech advantage, though, with that baiting nest complete, as well as having some extra gas to morph additional banelings if needed.
Well, Revival's in a pretty decent spot at this stage. The Baneling nest at the front is going to give him a little bit of more defensive arc, but Suppy's back to droning now. He realizes that the time for attacking has passed, and a couple of Lings are going to get in, though.
The Banelings just a second late and put him in position. Revival, of course, probably won't get more than one drone kill, if even that one. Looks like he does get the one kill, but what's most important here is he's getting great scouting information.
Exactly.
Knows there's no super fast layer on the way, still on one gas. Still a good amount of drones in both the bases, which means Suppy isn't putting on aggression immediately.
No, indeed, that is very, very true. And we do have Revival going up to a lair here. There are small Lings being built. The question is, will he try to be aggressive with them? He's still on hatchery tech. He is now taking his third base, so I imagine he might put on a little bit of pressure just to try and keep his opponent away from that base, but of course he also needs units to defend. He doesn't know what his opponent's got. He does know, of course, if there's anything coming out of that natural, he's got a nicely positioned Overlord to check that out.
Revival really likes the roaches. Again, going for that roach warn. A single evolution chamber this game, though, so a little bit different. Of course, it's an entirely different opening. Suppy gets in there and scouts it.
Nice.
That's a nice win for Suppy.
Yeah, seeing those two gas going down as well, absolutely fantastic move. Suppy morphs in a huge number of Banelings in response. He wants to go for it here. Revival's couple of Banelings are coming in as well. Oh, if they connected here, well, they didn't connect so well. They killed a couple of Lings, but that really was about it. Counter Banelings come in. They don't do that much either. That was not a good engagement here for Revival. And here we go. There's two Spines, so that's going to be a lot of popped Banelings before they connect here. This is a very risky attack. He must do damage.
Oh, how many drones can you get? The drones are microing away very well.
Oh, Revival splits is so good.
You still got a decent number, though.
Yeah, that's very true. There's also a couple of Lings that were still alive there, so Revival did take some damage, like nowhere near as much as by all rights he should have, but the fact of the matter is half those Banelings popped before they connected, the rest connected against split-up units. This run by isn't going to do anything, that's going to be driven back once again here. So here's the thing, like Suppy did do a decent-ish amount of damage. Probably not as much as he'd wanted to, but it secures his third behind that aggression, right?
It does. He's got the third secured. He's got a worker advantage. And with three hatcheries, it means more larvae. With more workers, it means more income. He can outproduce his opponent. It looks like it's going to be Roach versus Roach mirror again. And this is not looking great for Revival at this exact moment, except if he can get enough damage done in a time when he has the speed advantage.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if he can pull that one off. Here comes the +1 from him, and droning up just a little bit more, making sure, hey, you can't go for massive amounts of roaches on only 35 drones. He needs to get that rolling, and of course his third is going to be so late as a result. He needs to hit that timing, and he needs to do damage with it, and if he doesn't, he's going to end up being more and more behind. Revival with good scout coming in. Like to, of course, see some more contaminate action. We might see that from him, but right now I don't believe that Overseer actually has the energy for it. And the Overseer also checks third base as well. So that puts Revival in a nice position of knowing exactly what his opponent's got, when it came down, and what to do. And Revival will take his third base and drone up a little bit more. Suppy's taking this opportunity to add on 10 more drones here.
Oh, that's brilliant. The last couple games, Suppy's really suffered from not having enough drones in that mid-game, but this game realizing that his opponent doesn't have enough units to threaten him for the next couple minutes, why not go ahead and add a few more drones before you go back to building those roaches?
Certainly true. And a bit of posturing here by Suppy. Says, hey, look, I got roaches. Don't attack me, because I might hurt you. And at this point, Revival will, of course, be in that nice little defensive position. He's got enough units to push back any aggression that comes in. This is definitely not designed to commit to an attack.
Revival is definitely going to be playing patiently. It's interesting. In ZVZ, if it looks like he didn't think he had any type of timing when he had the roach speed and his opponent didn't, it's going to be in that situation where, of course, the defender has enough of an advantage that with a small lead, you can't kill your opponent. And right now, Suppy does have that small lead, but it's not big enough you can just throw roaches across the map and kill Revival. It is big enough, though, that he can try to keep extending the lead. Maybe similar to what Revival did on the last map, just take a fourth base and deny your opponent's fourth to extend that lead.
Yeah, and just get your upgrades in play, get some tech down so you have a transition, or you can augment that roach force with either Hydralisks or Infestors, or maybe both. Hydra is, in fact, done here for Suppy and is going to get that range upgrade to complement that quite nicely. And at the moment, it's an arms race between these two.
It's an arms race with Suppy having more people working on his arms right now.
Some smarter scientists. He kidnapped them from the opposing country. They brought blueprints with them. And at this point, Suppy will be able to build up that nice timing where he's got more units, he's got better upgrades, and he's able to integrate that tech into his composition. The Hydra Den is finished. The Hydralisk count is currently at 7. I have to wonder if Suppy is planning on hitting once he gets those 10 Hydralisks out. It would line up nicely with the range upgrade.
It would line up nicely, but on this map, trying to rally across it, it's a little
difficult.
bit, yeah, it's dangerous. I mean, you could have a 30 food advantage, and that 30 food is all going to be units that are still on your side of the map. So Revival, of course, getting Roach Hydra as well. I'd just really like to see Suppy take a fourth base and then try to make sure he can continually deny his opponent's fourth, or even he could do something like do some crazy hive tech, using his advantage and putting it into a technological advantage.
Well, he looks like he wants to posture across the map and try and do some damage. In the meantime, Revival will have to set up a defensive position in order to deal with this. It's currently Hydra versus no Hydra with 10 Hydras on the way and no range upgrade. So it's a decent position for Suppy to be in to at least apply some pressure.
The 2 spine cars there giving Suppy a little bit of pause. He's thinking about going in, but he really doesn't want to lose the game. I think he has to know he's a little bit ahead right now, but that could all go away if an engagement goes south.
I am concerned that he may be a little bit too afraid of what's actually going on here. And he does take his fourth behind it.
The spines are being abandoned.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting move, and that's a great opportunity for Suppy to take them out without taking any real losses here. Now tries to take that good engagement. The Hydra range is done for both sides. Hydra speed is almost done for Suppy, though. That might give him an interesting opportunity to really pull off some excellent flanks.
It'll definitely allow him to rally in Hydras during the battle a little bit faster.
Absolutely.
Of course, both players are now maxed, so the army sizes should be almost exactly equal. Both players have exactly even number of drones as well.
All right, and Suppy's going to go for it right now. This is a massive battle. It doesn't even fit on the screen between these two. We do note that there is a Hydralisk advantage here for Suppy. Very, very even on the Roaches killed, but Revival is getting the better end of it right now, regardless of not actually having more units than his opponent. Hydra count is plummeting for both sides, and the Roach count for Suppy is just enough to break through in this engagement. And now what does he do? Is he going to go strike the third?
Retreat.
He's going to have to. I mean, the reinforcements are rallying in here. He can't really hope to maintain the fight unless he's able to bring in reinforcements of his own. And even with that Hydralisk speed, it's still going to take a little bit of time for them to get across the map.
That's right. A great move by Suppy, not overcommitting. He would have lost everything he gained by taking that battle if he had lost those Hydras that were still alive at the end. He's got to wait to regroup. and just continually denies opponents in fourth base. He's going in yet again.
Nice.
Revival's units are kind of straggled around.
Yeah, that was a nice engagement there for Suppy. You can get a second one here because these roaches balled up and went right in, whereas the arc comes in. This flank from Revival only consists of a couple of roaches, and they're coming in a little bit late here. Suppy does have the units to break this, as long as he can keep his Hydralisks alive at the back, which he certainly can. Revival is in a terrible spot right now. Suppy is able to gain that momentum. It snowballs, and there's the GG. Suppy showing some phenomenal Zerg versus Zerg, and he's damn happy about that.
A very great performance by Suppy there. A heads-up play to use that early scout to identify his opponent was doing that mass beating type play. That was a really cool move. You know, was it just, okay, I haven't been scouting, maybe he'll try to cheese me, or was it a pre-planned thing? You know, I'm not going to use early Zerglings to scout because most of the time they don't really tell you that much. Okay, they're making drones and evading nests or whatever. But then, you know, if he sees me consistently doing this, I'll mix it in the last map and catch him when he's trying to do something a little bit cheesy.
Yeah, and I liked what Revival did, honestly. It was really, really cool to see him hiding all those lanes and preparing for this big attack, but Suppy was too smart to it, and at that point he gained that advantage and he kept keeping it. Revival wasn't able to turn it into anything. Attempted link strikes, didn't really do anything, and Suppy at that point with the economic lead was able to say, time for me to start hitting you. And there's just Ling and Baneling attack over and over and over again into the natural, taking pretty decent fights. It doesn't even have to be that efficient, as long as you're keeping your opponent in the base, because you can take your third behind it, then you take your fourth behind it. The third came out so much earlier for Suppy than what we saw from Revival there.
I really liked how he's taking the third before the lair attack. In the Roach type mirror, Roach speed can be nice, but with the defender's advantage being so strong, it can be hard to really hit some type of timing and abuse that fact.
It's like, what are you going to do on it? Especially with the Achelon Waste, which is deceptively large. It's a case of the fact that even rallying with speed across the map still takes ages. We saw the time it took to actually get that those reinforcements across there. Suppy making some really smart decisions here. Revival not up to the task. This is, of course, a repeat story from the round of 32 for him, losing his first Zerg versus Zerg, and plenty more on the plate for him. He will, of course, be facing up against Scarlet. Suppy gets to play against Liquid Hero. That is going to be exciting, and we, of course, have an interview on the floor with axeltoss and Evil Genius as Suppy. Take it away.
Thanks a lot, Total Biscuit and Axlav. Great commentary as always. I'm here with our winner of match 2 of the night, Suppy, taking out Revival 2-1. How's it feel right now, man?
It was really scary. I mean, I thought it was really close. I'm like, my legs are shaking right now. But I was really happy I was able to win that game.
Gosh, it was so stressful to watch throughout. I felt like that series could have gone either way. Let's talk through the games. Game 1 was on Belshir Vestige, and it was a game where it seemed like you had a disadvantage throughout as far as the drone count was concerned, and then you found yourself scrambling to stay on 3 bases, potentially deny his 4th base. Just talk me through that game and how that went for you.
I mean, I felt like I was behind from the very beginning. I kept stopping my Overlord, and usually I can scout the gas with the Overlord and get the Overlord out in time, but I ended up losing my first Overlord, so it was horrible. Like, it was a really bad start. And then, yeah, I did notice I was behind throughout the game. I was able to get some lucky links arounds on some roaches, which really helped me because I was able to lessen his roach count. And he made a couple of engagement errors, I think, especially that one where he had an upgrade advantage, but he engaged into my 3rd, into like a huge concave that I had. I think he was a little bit overconfident, and that was enough to give me the advantage and eventually get the win.
Yeah, I felt that engagement gave you a lot of momentum. And then going into game, going to game 2 is on Star Station, a map where you just had so much trouble taking a 4th base. It looked like he kept positioning his units in the correct location. Talk me through that game a little bit.
I felt like I couldn't engage his army because I knew he had an upgrade advantage. I hadn't gotten the +1 carapace like I did in the previous game, so the disparity was even higher than before. And so he just had map control because of a better army. And I think a lot of this stemmed from me not Ling scouting at the very beginning and seeing that he did a gaseous opening. Because if I saw a gaseous opening, I would have prioritized upgrades a little bit faster, and I think I would have done better.
And then game 3, you're tied 1-1. You just fell in game 2. How do you maintain your composure and make sure you're on top of your game going into game 3?
I don't know. Just play the game you normally play. You know, play how you're normally playing, and don't get too nervous or mess up or anything. So
yeah, I think a key point of that game was you were able to scout all of his Ling shenaniganry in his main base with your Lings. How thankful were you that you spotted that?
I was actually hitting myself because I was going to Ling Scout on that game specifically because I hadn't in the past 2 games, so I knew it was possible he was going to maybe do that Ling all-in. And so I made it a little bit too late, and I was like, man, maybe I should make a Baneling nest before speed, and then I just got speed anyways. And so the hold was really, really close.
Yeah.
And I thought after I held it, I was like, all right, I won. And then I attacked and I like didn't do any damage. And I was like, oh shoot, I just threw it. But then eventually I was able to, I did a follow-up baneling attack and killed a lot of drones. So I think that was able to give me an advantage to push me to the victory.
And then there was a moment where you were ahead, but he had a spine crawler. It seemed like you're thinking about going and engaging. What was going through your mind there? Because you know you might win this game very soon. You have this advantage. You're trying to take advantage. How do you make that decision to hold back a little bit?
I was just waiting a little bit longer because I knew my upgrades were about to finish, and I knew his were slightly ahead of mine because I scouted it with an overseer. And I actually engaged like a little bit before my +2 attack finished, which was a mistake, but I also had to wait because I wanted to get the better concave. I just wanted to snipe those 2 spine crawlers, which I did, and then back off, wait for the upgrades, and then attack.
All right, last question for you. You're going up against Hero in the winner's match. How confident are you in this match, and how familiar are you with this play? I'm assuming you saw that game versus Scarlet. Just let me know your thoughts going into this match.
I mean, on the one hand, he looked beatable. Like, Scarlet put up a really good fight, and it's not like he's invincible. But on the other hand, his PvZ is amazing. He 2-0'd Scarlet, and I don't think my ZVP is maybe as good as hers. I didn't focus on it as much as she did. I focused a lot more on ZVZ for this group. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can do well, but we'll see.
All right, best of luck and congrats against Revival, guys. That was Suppy. Of course, he's going to be advancing to the winner's match to play against Hero, a best of 3 to decide who's going to be our first player from this group to advance to the WCS America Round of 8. Guys, you're watching the WCS America Round of 16 Group C winner's match coming up between Hero and Suppy. Stay tuned.